All right, so last day of the workshop. So today's material is going to be fairly short, relative to other 2 days. Um, so I guess we can skip 3.1 part because we already covered the loops and APL statement. Um, and you can go straight into 3.2, where we're going to talk about this, how to save and load the data. Um, but first, we need to read. Actually, we need to go up and read the data before we do anything. So go ahead and load the data. I'll make sure you open the part2.r script for today's. Um, make sure you set the working directory as a part2 as well, instead of part1. All right.
Yeah, let's see, a very big project. So what's the most optimal way to, so right now, open up platform, like shut it down, and then open to like save what I've done, how do I save it?
You want to save like entire environment?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna teach you that
oh, okay,
just in a moment.
because I want to do that before I open part one, or can I open part one, before I open part two, can I do that part one?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I mean, so you can actually save. There are two different ways you can save files in R. You can save the entire environment as it is. So right now we're having these two type of variables, county pop and county data CA, right? We can save individual table into separate files, or we can save it as an image. So this is one way we can do it. So you can save it with the save.image and whatever the name you want. So it's gonna be, so in your case, it's gonna be part1 and .r data. And if you do that, it's gonna generate an image file. And forgot to set my working directory. Yeah, so it's gonna create the new file that's named after this part2.r data. And you remove everything here and try to load it again, you can use the function called load. So it's gonna be load and part2.r data. Do that, you see that the entire two variable sort of got restored, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can also I guess I will just talk about how to write stuff. So if data you're storing is a data frame, you can always use the write table or write CSV to generate a format that is readable by Excel. Or you can also save something called the RDS. So this will save the file in a form of R image, but not as a whole, but you can save it as a variable. You can save like a figure, like ggplot that we generated yesterday as well as a RDS file, and you can load it again. Yeah, so I assume you guys loaded the county pop and county data.ca, so you guys can go ahead and run the code in line 72, which is basically filtering following columns. Oh, sorry. You need to load a dplyr first in order to use the select function. And you will also need ggplot2 as well for visualization. Okay. And like I said, you can save it as a CSV file or text eliminated file using the write table function. You note that so let's just run it for now. I'll see what happens. And you see that ContiPop filter.csv was generated. And if you go to that path, and open up the file, you see that the entire data frame has been saved.
Yeah.
There are some options that has been used here. You see that the row name was set to false. If you set this to true, you got you got to close it before you inflate the file. Yeah. So if you set the row name as true, it's gonna also save the index number of the data frame, right? So right now, like as you can see, the column names are kind of not correct, right? So it should be something like this, and this is supposed to be an index, right? So when you're saving, I guess you always want to set this as a false, unless you want to like make an emphasis on the indexes. And you can also remove a variable if you want. You can use the function called rm to remove the specific variable. So I'm sure I'm just gonna remove ContiPop filter. If you do that, the ContiPop filter kind of disappears, right? And you can always read it back using the read.table, of course. And yeah, so this is basically a recap about the stuff we did yesterday. We did the joining of the two different data frame. We also did learn how to use the pipe in dplyr, how to send the data frame into the function that comes next to it. And mutate was used to generate a new column, right? And then filter was used to filter out the rows with specific the values. And also, I guess I kind of forgot to teach you how to. You can also use mutate using the if else statement as well. So right now we're just using a simple arithmetic functions, right? We're dividing fully vaccinated by the %k, but some other cases you may want to categorize based on the value, right? So let's say so let's see. Let's say you want to categorize population. If there's more than a million, we say the population is high. If it's not, we can say it's low. In order to do that, we can say like so mutate. You're gonna name a new column, population. Let's name it category. And we can use the function called if else. And we can, the first parameter that comes is it's a condition, right? So it must be, so we're gonna use the population column here. Let me check the data type of the population real quick. Make sure this is a number. Oh, it's a character. Okay. So since this is a character, we need to change it. We all learned it yesterday. I guess the population have comma as well. Yeah. So you wanna use the technique we learned yesterday as numeric. We should use the G sub and place the comma with no character and then flex data merge operation. Okay. Okay, now the population is a number, we can do something, some comparison, right? So if population is bigger than billion, we say it's high. And the next parameter is the else part, right? So if this is true, if this condition is true, it's gonna throw a high. If it's not, it's gonna say low. Right? And make sure you add the pipe above after the filter. So if you do that, let's check out the normalized effects data. You see all the way down, you see the population category, which says a high.
Can you show what you heard for the as
Did I delete it?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, sorry. So it was population equals or arrow as numeric. G sub, comma, and the fetch data merged. Yeah, so this particular statement is kind of important for your homework. So keep a note on that. And yeah, so this is also a recap from yesterday. So we're selecting out the normalized specs data. We're selecting out specific columns and filtering the per 10K value that is more greater or equal to 100. And then we also generated a figure yesterday. Something we also generate a figure, something like this, where we saw Los Angeles has the highest vaccination population in total. And like I said, you can save this figure as a variable using the save RDS function. So if you do this, the figures will be saved in the figure.rds file. So you remove figure, which is up here, right? Gonna get deleted. You can read it back using the read RDX function. Figure RDS. When you're reading the RDS, you gotta designate the variable name. So yeah, as you can see, it came back and also it printed the figures again. You can also save this as a normal image format, such as like a PNG or JPG. So I'm just gonna demo how to save it into PNG file. You can the easiest way is to use this export here it says if you click it, it gives you a bit of option, right? So you can use save as image or save as PDF. That's the easiest way. If you want to resize it, you can use the copy to clipboard, and then you can resize your image up here. And then you can also copy plots. And if you're, let's say you're making a PPT slide, you can just paste it like this, which is kind of convenient way of doing it. You can also save it in by the PNG file using command. The first you need to pass on is a file name that you want to save. So it's gonna be Geom Smooth example PNG, right? And you need to set the width. I set it 8 by 8, and also unit. I'm gonna use the inch here, and the resolution. Typically for publication, they require the resolution to be 300 or above. So I'm gonna set it like this, and then what you want to do is you want to print your figure right after the PNG function is called, and after that you want to save it. I mean, you want to close it up with the tab. So in order to generate a PNG file, you need to have these 3 lines of code. So let's see what happens. So first you need to run this PNG, and then print out the figure, and then you will see something like this, and then you see that Geom Smooth example.png file is generated. Let's go ahead and open that up. Yeah. I mean, based on my personal experience, I think this saving it this way, if you're going to publish any of your figures for the a research paper, I highly recommend save your image using this method, because you get to change your resolution, right? If you use plots and export, I don't think resolution is that high enough for publication sometimes. So it's better you have control of your resolution using this command. Yeah, like PPI. Yeah. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the R Markdown. So you can go ahead. You can go to the Files panel and open up the part2.rmd. Which is this one. Make sure you change the date to today's date, I guess. 22. So before we do anything, let's generate the HTML file out of it. So you can click on knit button here. If you click it, it's gonna start rendering down here. It's gonna throw out some messages and see what happens. Oh, and I think you're doing it wrong, because you're passing a character into a mutate. So let me go back to that part real quick. Yeah, so you're not using pipe, you're just saving it. You're just converting your population column to a numeric and then saving into a population column again. And after that, you're passing that data frame again and then using the pipe and then the mutate. So data frame has to be always passed to the mutate function, any deployer function, basically.
I'm having the same error, and whenever I do the class and like check that, it gets showing up as a character. But it's showing up as a numeric. But then if I do this.
Oh, because you're not using the pipe
Oh.
here, right? Because you're not testing. Maybe if you don't use the pipe.
Oh.
And will you be able to fix it?
I'm working on it right now.
Okay. But once the rendering is done, you can see that this good looking documentation is done. It's basically what we did over the last 3 days. So Art Markdown is basically the way to create a manual format, but in a standardized format manner. I mean, when you're creating a manual, obviously you can use Microsoft Word or any documentation, but this is one of the convenient way of creating a needy little document. So I guess these days, whenever you're doing research, a lot of times the publication journals ask you to submit a code. So this is a nice way to describe your code. Instead of just throwing random, not random, instead of just throwing the code, which is hard to read, right? It's somewhat nice of you if you put some description about your code. So basic structure of our Markdown is like this. So title has to come always after the 3 dashes here, but our Studio is kind of, they provide the convenient method to create a Art Markdown file. So if you go to new file and new file and click on Art Markdown here, then maybe you can write down the test author, make sure you write your name down. Yeah, it's gonna create predefined formats. So you just need to change the title and stuff you want to change here. One thing to note is that if you want to write an R code in the document, you always want to start with this sign. How do you call this in English? Ellipsis? Oh, okay. Yeah, so 3 ellipses and then curly bracket. Make sure you're designate you're telling the R, you're actually writing an R code, just writing the R, and then name of the block. So test include. Sometimes you can tell R to include that block to the ending document. You can set it false if you don't want to add it, but you just want to run it in the behind as a background. Also, you can tell R to ignore the warning messages. Oh, sorry, the false has to be all capital. And then it has to be closed with the 3 ellipses again. Yeah, sometimes like you don't want to add like install packages, like code like install packages into your R documentation, but sometimes it is needed in order to run the code within the document. So this is the handy way of using it. You can also add your blocks by clicking this button here, where it shows the different language types. So here, if you just say R, it's gonna create an empty block with plain R in it. You can also add your options using the wheels here. And here you can choose like show warnings just by clicking. Use page tables. Yeah, there's some other options you can use. And you can also, if you're printing out the figures, you can also change the width and height of the figure as well. And you can also, yeah, like you can also write a block or different code options here. So if you write Python, if you add Python here, it's gonna create a block for Python. So if you're like me, I use like Python and R interchangeably. Like, so if you're like me, like you wanna write a single documentation that contains 2 different languages, you can use R Markdown as well. And there are other languages as well, SQL and Bash scripts. And you can also save this. So the file you generated is an HTML file, which is a web-based file, right? If you want to save it as a PDF, you can also choose the PDF format. I think you before you install, before you knit it into a PDF, you need to install this particular package called tidytext. I'm not going to install it right now because it's going to take a while, but this is the end result, how the end result looks like if we print this out in PDF format. Yeah, so saving your code like this is always a good way, a good practice for the future reference. Even if you go to like an industry, it is always demanded. You always need to write a takeover document whenever you move on to the next position. All right. And then what else? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So here, up here, you also get to say that table of content, whether to R Markdown to create a table of content. So TOC stands for table of content. So you do it by output and and document type. So for HTML document type, we want the table of content. We want it to be float, which means that's why we have a floating table contents up here, right? Yeah, if you don't want it, you can always like remove it or set it to no. Yeah, and like I said, this is the pretty much what we did over the last 3 days. So you can keep this as a reference. And also, oh yeah, and sometimes you wanna like this, you wanna link certain web page like URLs to the R Markdown. The way you can do that is you can copy the URL and put it under this bracket.
So right, it's time to go to that web page. How do you get to the web? Yeah, this one.
This one,
Yeah.
so you go to your part 2
Okay.
HTML, and then there is a part 2.html file generated. So you can open it up any browser you want. If you're using Safari, you can open with the Safari. Google Chrome always works the best. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So this one too. So you see that it used the method called the cable to generate this good looking tables here. So this is a part of the knit package. So this is a combination word of knit and table. So you can basically put in your data frame in a cable function and to put a caption on it, which will be shown in the top of the table, and it's gonna print out all the stuff in your data frame. All right, and you can ignore this challenge and homework assignment part, because I have a separate homework assignment for you. Let me just delete it. All right. A sec. Yeah, I guess before we move on, can you guys scan this QR code and do the course evaluation? And for those of you online too, please participate. All right, You can also, so in our Markdown, you can also set a title. So the title is defined, the header is defined with the pound sign in our Markdown. So in R, if you remember, like the pound was used to commenting. So if you use the pound inside of this R block, of course it's gonna get used as a pound. But outside of this block, if you use pound, it's gonna be the header. And if you use the two pound sign, it's gonna be a different size of header. 3 as well. You can also create a bullet point using the dash. If you want your stuff in order, you can also designate the numbers in one. And if we knit this real quick, I'll save it as a test. Oh, sorry. Only header part worked. Is it a space vector? Oh yeah, so there has to be a space after the dash, so you can see the bullet points, and for the numbering, you also need a space, I guess. Yeah. And sometimes you want to add a new line after a sentence. Also, for instance, here, after Word documents, let's say we want to add a new line and start to pour more details from here. You can add BR before after the Word document, and then let's see what happens. Yeah, as we can see, the four more details, the sentence with four more details is now on the new line. All right, so I guess that's enough for today's material, but let me talk about the homework. So homeworks has been added to the GitHub page under the homework directory. You should have one CSV file that you're gonna work with. So this is a actual research data that I produced. This is from the single cell RNA-seq results from fructose treated mice versus control. So this is a differentially expressed genes results. You open it up. Sorry, it takes a while. It has 6 columns, no 7 columns actually. So it has a p-value, the fold change value, which is normalized with the log 2, and then some other quantitative variables, as well as adjusted p-value, and the cell type it was from, and the gene name. So your homework is basically use this table to generate this plot, the volcano plot, which is often used to analyze the DG to illustrate the DG results. So I want you to so I basically want you to do so you gotta read the table first and manipulate your data frame. You gotta select. You only need 3 columns here, so you're gonna need the log FC column, adjust the p-value, and the gene names. And also, I want you to create the category based on the log FC column. So I left out everything empty here. So I want you to fill out the code here. And then afterwards, I want you to create a volcano plot. The basic grammar is written here. You just need to fill up the missing parts here. And then once you generate that, you can make sure you write down your name and your student number and email, and submit it, generate this HTML file and then send it to this email. All right. I will also send you a quiz by end of tonight. Yeah, by the way, this homework is due on 27th, which is exactly a week after today. 27 by end of I guess 11:59 p.m. Anything that comes after, I won't accept it. And for the quiz, it is only one trial only, so please bear in mind when you're submitting it. You can use your R Studio while you're taking a quiz, just to make sure you get the right answer. Okay.
How do you get to the homework part?
Oh, so it's on the GitHub page. Sorry. Here. It's where you downloaded your course material, actually.
From first unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I can send out the email again.
Thank you. They have part 1, part 2. File downloaded, but I don't see that.
Because it uses.
Oh, this to be.
Yeah, I just downloaded it before this class. Yeah. So you might want to re-download using the code and download as a zip and unzip the file to start working on your homework. And that is a workshop. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So, earlier.
Yeah, you can put it down.
This one.
Yeah, okay.
So, you could,
Okay. It's a Tuesday, yeah, there.
yeah, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just check my variable size. I'm gonna start everything. Oh, I see. Yeah, because you're sending your data frame through the pipe, you don't have to assume. You just need to write down the column.
You share the QR code?
Yeah. Okay.
So I will see. So I need to. And then, yeah, so that's the origin.
Right.
But the thing is that I wanted to, yeah. What's going on is gone, which is.
Okay.
Like this, and I would.
Okay.
From this one.
The one that has like.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
The one that has. some-
Yeah, so you basically.
It's like the web page.
You just, how is it separated? Comma separated?
Yeah. Just that's what the question. Another one.
Okay, because it's just.
That's separated.
Yeah, so in that case. Okay. Yeah, in that case, you can, so since you're trying to split everything by comma, which you don't have, right? You wanna change it to space, right? And then. Before. Let's
This
see
part here, just trying to get to your.
how this split actually looks like. The A list actually looks like, right? So if you want this.
Oh.
Yeah, as you can see.
But then it was always gonna be that.
Creating a list, right? So this one, we're doing in this index 0, 1, and 2.
Yeah,
right?
remove it and read.
You can use now use statistic. And you want to put on as a key, right? Which is a 0 index.
Save.
And then you want to use one letter amino acid, right? So this will be 1. Right? This is the first element after 0.
Okay.
Do that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it has an Here's there. I used to store it. Reloads the paper. Oh, no, it's running, it's running. Oh, so we just have to run it. once.
Everything and fine. Except for. Oh. Yeah, because you have a empty. Line here. That's where it's causing a problem. So if that's the case, one way you can do is you can remove all the files. Or in the code, maybe you can check the length, okay? You can check the length of the A list. If it has there's 3 columns, the length should be. The length should be 3, right? If it's not, it's just gonna pass, right? You know what I mean?
Part 2, okay, yeah, it shows up here disappears. Okay, like.
So you split everything into space, right?
Uh-huh.
And so the first line should be split into 3 arrays. Since there's a space, 2 spaces in between, right? Just gonna create a list with 3 arrays, right?
Okay.
You can access the element through the index. So 0 element, 0 step element is AAA, right? And the first element is data, right? So if you iterate through and go to line 5, even if you split it, you won't get nothing. Because there's no, yeah. That's why I'm using this statement to check the length of the list. So only if the length is 3, gonna store that information into the dictionary.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he did, but you can tell him. I can tell him for your. No?
Where is it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kelsey, again.